The video began to reveal something seemingly impossible: small sailboats, and even a giant ship sailing through the desert sands. The endless sands. The scorching dunes. What lies below becometh your doom. The beating sun, the shifting earth, you better run, for all you're worth. Rage, declared as a man on the main ship, alerted the hunter next to him of something massive behind them. The group was both amazed and puzzled as they saw how the hunters were traversing the desert. Are they sailing ships? Across sand? Ironwood asked in disbelief. Well, it's certainly an inventive way to travel, Ashbin said, unsure of how else to respond. But that's impossible. The boats would have to have some kind of skids, but the friction on them would keep the boats grounded in place without absurdly high winds. And even then, the friction would eventually destroy the skids, Glinda said frantically as she struggled to make sense of what she saw. Now even the humans are breaking physics. Penny whined, holding her head as the processors threatened to overheat. The students, meanwhile, were in awe of this. That looks so cool, John said with stars in his eyes. That would be so awesome. I want to do that. I'd be Nightmare Nora, the most feared pirate queen in all the desert, Nora declared. I'm totally in. Especially if we wear Angry Aaron clothes, Yang said. Yeah, Nora cheered. The hunter turned with a start, an exclamation point even appearing above his head as he turned to see a gargantuan whale-like creature breaching out of the sands behind them, letting out a massive roar as it came crashing down on top of them, mouth wide open to devour them and destroy their ship. The beast then slammed down on the ship. Yo, holy shit. He dead. Someone screamed as the beast crashing down resulted in an explosion of sand. Then, several of them jumped clean out of their seats when they saw the massive behemoth erupted from the sand. Holy crap! Several of them shouted. It's massive. It's at least the size of the ship, if not even bigger, Winter said in disbelief. It has to be at least as big as Gogmazio's, Cinder said, shocked. A good bit more than double its size, actually, Katana said, leaving them absolutely floored. Then, they heard the he-ded line and, despite how dark it is, several couldn't help but laugh. I mean, he's not wrong. I don't see anyone getting out of that in one piece, Crow said. And if you weren't dead from that, I guarantee you'd be wishing you were, Roman added. Those poor sailors, Velvet said sadly. Still, what exactly was that? It went by so fast, all I could tell is that it was huge, Neo cried out. Yeah, I'd bet you'd just be a tic-tac to something like that, Emerald teased, much to the former mute's annoyance. We'd all be little more than a potato chip for something that big. Neo being shorter has nothing to do with it. Against something like that, there's nothing any one person can do, Hazel stated. Another large ship was then shown sailing through the sands. Hello then, my fellow hunters. Today, we're gonna go hunt a whale. It's Jhen Mohran, who is quite the unique little bee. I say little, he's fucking enormous. One of the big, eclectic, set-piece fights, a la Zora. But, you know, he's more entertaining than watching a picture of grass growing drying. Now, while I have touched very briefly on the Jhens before, I've never really given them the proper spotlight, Rage explained as the creature rose up beside the massive sailboat, swimming alongside it for a ways, before completely breaching out of the sand, almost like a dolphin. Many were stunned as they saw the massive creature. Suddenly, Ruby and Nora will have the realization. Wait. Could it be? Nora asked, wondering if it could really be what she thought, what she hoped it was. I think it is, Ruby said hopefully, getting excited about the existence of such a creature. Both girls went starry-eyed at this. It's a desert whale. They declared together. So awesome! Ruby cried in amazement. I think I found my transportation for when I go to Vacuo. Nora said eagerly. Nora, no. Wren told her adamantly, fearing what she could and likely would do with such a creature at her beck and call. Nora, yes. Nora cried out. Then, the creature breached out of the sand and over the ship, and their amazement and reverence of the beast only grew. Whoa! That was amazing! It was like a dolphin. Ilya said in wonderment. It was truly an amazing spectacle. And the music only added to the experience. Pyrrha said. I have to admit, even I can find that this creature has some majestic qualities. Even a bit of charm to it. Weiss admitted. It then crashed down into the sand and disappeared, before a hunter and Palico were loading cannons and firing at it from the boat. And I think that is definitely a shame. They are of course elder dragons, the Crest mountain dragon, and he is found in the Great Desert, a vast expanse of sand, endless as far as the eye can see. And C is right, for it essentially acts like one, the sand here so loose and fine. Well, if you were to step upon it, you would just dash rage, explained as the hunter leapt off the boat and with a scream, sank into the sand as if it were water. And down you go. He warned grimly, before the hunter was thankfully saved by a rope to the boat. Many of them winced as they heard and saw that the great desert sand wasn't solid. Especially when the hunter fell in. Whoa! You guys all saw that, right? That hunter sank in and disappeared so fast. Coco said. If they aren't tied to the boat, they might be doomed if they fall. Especially if they can't tread the sand like water. Blake pointed out. Not to mention, you can't just open your eyes like you can in water to see where you are or what's around you, unless you want a bunch of sand in your eyes. Adam added. But then they heard the scream as the hunter jumped in. Oh okay, I don't want to laugh at that, but that scream was just so good. Summer said, giggling a bit. If Cher's sand would be fun to swim in, this would be the best ever. Nora said. I'd love to swim in that. Ruby thought, the hyperactive girls keeping the thought to themselves as they remembered Blake spoiling their fun last time. The hunter was then seen at the ballista again, firing at the colossal creature. But for Jhen Mohran, this is perfect. Using a combination of tusks, claws and tail, powerful and muscled, to propel it through the sand at breakneck speed. The tusks in particular are dense, able to shatter through rock and are very, very valuable. They make up nearly 20% of his full length, a length which easily surpasses 100 meters, dwarfing over 3 blue whales if they were to swim side by side. Basically, he's thick and he has the power to back it up. Rage, declared as a silhouetted image, was shown of the beast was shown with 3 whales and dozens of humans underneath it. Then they were shocked to see the size comparison. Oh, come on! How are there so many monsters that are bigger than the biggest whales? Ilya complained. Deep-sea giantism makes sense for Cedius. Perhaps with such loose sand, Jhen Mohran works on a similar process. Penny theorized. From the sound of things, it may actually be bigger than Cedius. Ironwood said. Just like with Gog, more than twice the size. Rizara told him. While it certainly doesn't compare to Dalamadur, it's still quite impressive. Ozpin praised. And its tusks are quite impressive as well. To be able to shatter rocks and displace huge amounts of sand is no small feat. I can't think of a single Grimm that might survive that. Glinda pointed out. Or a single ship. Winter said nervously. Yang, Emerald, Neo, Nora, and Coco all laughed at Rage's description of the beast. Thick. I never get tired of hearing that. Neo said. It just sounds so juicy and sexy. Yang agreed. Unless you're talking about a literally whale, but it still gets across how huge he is. Emerald said. Suddenly, the ships sailing through the sand were shown again. The hunters on board the ship looked through a telescope to see some strange sailfish leaping out of the sand, with text explaining these delegs always swim near Jhen and were used to track the beast. The great dragon ships, sent out into the wastes to hunt and track these colossal creatures, armed with a dragonator up front and bristling with the very best weapons that can be crafted, are mere paper toys to his onslaught. One strong blow and well, you will end up like this. Rage warned as a man with Alia's head superimposed on his was shown slowly and calmly down the stairs of a ship as it was being blasted apart. Blake saw the fish and her eyes immediately went wide. There's sand fish, too. I might have to move to Vacuo. Or try making the desert of Menagerie safer to live in. She said excitedly. I'm sure you could probably have it imported from Vacuo. Weiss and Pira have their favorite snacks from home delivered all the time. Ren suggested. Ren, you're a genius. Blake said. Even normal-looking fish are breaking the laws of physics now. If we really get these things in Remnant, I'm not sure I want to go back now. The world's gotten too crazy. Roman said. I thought you would enjoy a crazy world like this if anything. Cinder said, surprised by Roman's response. Hey, some things at least have to make sense. And none of what I'm seeing right now makes sense. It's like all these things, just ignore physics. Roman explained himself. Yeah, some of this stuff almost has me wanting to start drinking again. Crow admitted. Jhen Mohran then rose up out of the sand to try and slam down on the ship. Fortunately, however, they are not generally aggressive. Calm by nature, they roam peacefully deep beneath the sand where it feeds like a baleen whale, gulping down huge volumes of sand and absorbing any nutrients and minerals to be found. The leftover material is ejected violently through a series of blowholes lining the back of the beast, and they take the form of huge boulders, screaming through the sky and cascading down with cataclysmic fury, puncturing holes in anything that they strike, be it boat or soft flesh. And how they aim these so accurately is still yet a mystery to the guild, with some positing that is down to Rage explained, before apparently going silent. Others, though, are less than sure. Rage finished explaining as the hunter pushed the Jhen Mohran back with stabs from his lance or large barrel bombs, as well as the beast at a distance firing its boulders. Most of them were very happy to hear the beast was peaceful and gentle. Especially the cinnamon trio. Yay! More friendly monsters. RWBY cheered. How wonderful. I would love to maybe take a trip to Vacuo and see them on something akin to a whale-watching trip. Pira said with an eager smile. It's just like Yatsuhashi in that regard, big, strong and intimidating, but really friendly and gentle underneath it all. Delvet said, smiling as well. It's almost like an actual whale in that regard. Weiss noted. Just too bad you can't swim with them like you can with whales. That'd be a fun vacation. Coco said. Then, they were in awe when they saw the beast shooting out boulders. Did you see that? It shoots out boulders the size of Neo. RWBY said, unintentionally burning her future sister-in-law, who pouted at this. That's awesome. Raining death from above. Yang cheered. It's a whale and a cannon all in one. It's practically its own pirate ship. Nora cheered. She then imagined herself in chibi art form riding on the back of the monster with a crew of pirates as if the beast was a pirate ship, sailing through Vacuo and plundering treasure from bandit and villages alike. But wait. What did Rage say? I didn't hear anything. John asked. To be honest, I have no idea. Katana explained. 1. The creature then closed in again for another close-range assault on the boat as the hunter attempted to beat it back again. A Jhen Mohran naturally is brilliant blue, yet the sand encrusted upon it by its decades, surrounded by the stuff hides that luster from human eyes. And as another sad side effect, rare and valuable ores start to build and grow along the ridges atop this great beast. And this is the key driving force that we hunt them. They don't cause trouble, they don't cause carnage, they don't cause destruction. Their most elder dragonesque passive devastation is simply that they take on so much sand, it can create huge chasms of sinkholes that can fill so rapidly it shifts the entire desert, kicking up great clouds into the air, which are then blown across, covering villages in a relentless battering. Rage explained as the hunter placed bombs on Jhen's back, before a thick fog was shown, accompanied with techno music. For days, preventing life from running as it should. Rage finished his explanation as the hunter then continued to jab at the beast's back with his lance. Then everyone will be saddened hearing how this monster is hunted and killed. That's so sad. It surely doesn't mean to create the sinkholes and storms, it's just existing and isn't aware of the harm it's causing. Summer said. It's a part of life. It's probably existed in the world longer than they have, they should be used to it by now and prepared for it. Hazel agreed. Yeah, I know. Even the guild regrets having to send the order out. It's such a passive creature, no one feels good when we have to kill it. Katana tells them. Small comforts for the creature, just trying to live its life. Adam said. Yeah. They're only doing what comes naturally to them. It's not their fault all huge storms happen from the sinkholes they cause. Emerald agreed. It's sad such a peaceful creature has to die, but this one is a legitimate crisis, and it can't be avoided by a simple change in location like with Dalamadur and La Shanlan. If it causes such massive storms that last for days, it puts too many lives in jeopardy. It's sad, but it has to be done. James said remorsefully. Sometimes in nature, it truly is, it's them or us. Winter agreed. Yeah, they're just sandstorms, right? Vacuo has those all the time. Surely it's not really that big of a deal, they have to be hunted, right? Ruby asked. Unfortunately, Miss Rose, you underestimate sandstorms. The wind speeds can be high enough to destroy houses, so it could easily cause loss of life. Not to mention, they could possibly make the sandstorms Vacuo already has even worse, to the point of total catastrophe. Ashvin informed sadly. 2. The hunter was then seen mining crystals on Jhen's back. Is this reason enough to go after them? Likely not, but greed is a mighty motivation. The tusks, the parts, yeah, they are put to use, but the ore is where it's at. Now, given the tiny stature of a hunter in comparison to this mighty behemoth, it nary cares nor notices when many are riding its back. Now the ore of course can be mined at this stage, but hunters cannot get enough to satisfy the need of industry with their bare hands alone, and thus the creature must be slain and brought still so that a greater harvesting effort can begin. It is kind of really sad when you think about it. One of the very few monsters that when hunted, sometimes it is we just want those bloody juicy carves. Rage explained as the hunter hit a switch to fire the Dragonator as the Jhen Mohran closed in on the ship from the front. Then, everyone's sadness will turn to anger hearing that more greedy hunters killed Jhen just to mine the minerals on its hide. Unbelievable. They would harm an ancient, majestic creature like that solely for profit. That's something I'd imagine my father would do. Weiss said with a growl. How could they do that to such an amazing creature? No living being deserves that. Glinda snapped. They're just a bunch of no-good poachers. Ruby shouted. Atrocious. Hira said angrily. The Jhen then charged the ship and sent the hunter flying back. However, the majority is not needless harvesting. A lot of the time, a Jhen Mohran takes a dragon ship to be a rival vying for its territory, seeing the vessel as another one of its own kind. It's not the sharpest tool in the shed, especially for an elder dragon, but it does cause conflict to rise. Though, more often than not, the Jhen is the one walking away from that fight. But ultimately, it is a simple creature, titanic in nature, unimaginably strong, but, yeah, straightforward. He's not cunning, he's not filled with elemental fury, he's not destroying all living things left and right. He very much is. Well, the peaceful whale outside of the peaceful whale of monsters. Rage explained with an image of Cedius popping up on the screen as the hunter was back on the Jhen Mohran's back, attacking it. Hopefully those ships are the ones with the dirty poacher hunters. Coco said. I'm usually not one for karma, but in this case, I'd say it's well warranted. Ren stated. I mean, I guess you can't blame him. He's used to being the biggest thing around, then something the same size rolls into his neighborhood. How many other things could it be? Crow pointed out. You know, after seeing all these monsters with insane elemental powers, there's something charming about how simple a monster that relies on its size and strength to get the job done. Cinder said fondly. And don't forget the epic blowhole cannons. Yang added. The hunter was back on the boat, firing weapons at the beast. And as such, I have a soft spot for him. He's not strictly beautiful, but he certainly has something about him. Majestic is fair to say, awe-inspiring, too, as he speeds along in line with your ship in the distance, effortlessly careening through the sand. I've been on a few trips and seen other hunters having a I never imagined such a thing could exist. Never imagined such a thing could be moment. And for me, that is quite special. Rage said in a dreamy, nostalgic tone as the hunter evaded Delex and boulders while operating the weapons. Wow. That was a really nice description. And from Rage of all people. Ilias said, impressed. He's not wrong. In its own way, it is strangely incredible and amazing. Pyrrha said. Yeah. I can't believe I'm gonna say it, but I actually agree with Rage. Delvet said, surprised. Hey, the guy says some good stuff sometimes. Coco admitted. 3. Jhen finally surfaced on harder sand a good distance from the ship, the hunter rushing out to fight it. So, no back legs, just the front pair and the tail, and that means, when he is kinda still, he's not the most graceful of sorts. But once you injure him enough, through a combination of doing the dirty work yourself on his back, dragonating him when the time is oh so right, cannons, ballistae, and all manner of fury US hunters can bring, he'll prepare to end things. Still, he'll be, or at least more so than before, at which point we will park up and play a game of keep away as he slowly roams towards the ship and attempts to completely break it asunder, along with every soul on board. He swipes with his tusks, fails around, his arms thrashing, using that huge bulk to do what he can, but at this point, you do feel like he is in cornered animal mode, you can't help but feel a little bit sorry for him. And then, eventually, it is too much and he is defeated. Rage explained as the Jhen was finally overwhelmed by the damage and fell lifelessly onto its side. Then, they were surprised at the full appearance of this creature. That certainly wasn't what I expected. Blake said. Yeah. Why would it have front legs, but not back legs? Even if they don't use them, the snakes like Dalamadur and Najarala still had back legs. John agreed. With how much time it spends below the sand, they'd probably just create extra drag. Hazel said. It seems like it simply is a true sea creature, with those front legs being more like fins. It really is a whale, just in sand instead of water. Glenda said, amazed. Or maybe some kind of seal or sea lion. Ashton noted. That makes it even cuter. Imagine it bouncing a big ball on its nose or tusks. Summer said. Mom. That's the best idea ever. Ruby cried out, hugging her mother. The hunter was seen fighting it with the ballistae and cannons again. As sad as it is, the fight is honestly quite fun. You essentially spend your time using the siege weaponry available, hopping onto his back and going for a bit of a mine, a bit of a slash, running up and down it if you fall off. You sink down below the sand, but you can grab a rope to save yourself and skate across behind the boat before you drag yourself back to the cabin and go back up on board for another go. It has this visceral feeling, you feel yourself moving at blistering pace, facing down this humongous entity as it attempts to ram into the ship and dives from side to side, which, honestly, a lot of the time can feel just a little bit irritating. Rage admitted as the hunter was shown falling off a boat and dragging himself back with a rope, before a clip was shown of a cartoon where a pink dog was rowing a boat across the sand as an elderly woman holding a superimposed greatsword ran back and forth, swinging at a whale that leapt back and forth over their boat. They then saw the hunter falling off the boat and being dragged in with a rope once again. And despite the tense situation, they couldn't help but think, "That looks awesome. I want to do that." Nora cried out. "Yeah. We could totally make that a thing. Desert skiing. Or even sandboarding. It could be huge and we could make hundreds by taking people to do it." Neo said with lean symbols in her eyes. "That's my girl." Roman said proudly. "I know, right? It'd be the best thing ever. You wouldn't have to go to some place freezing like Atlas to enjoy snowboarding or skiing." Yang said eagerly. Maybe I could use scorching caress on the sand to make glass skis or snowboards." Cinder thought out loud. "That'd be awesome, Cinder." Ruby said, hugging her. Now, girls. I doubt it could actually work in real life with any normal sand instead of a sand sea. Ironwood told them. "Actually, we have sand ships even outside of hunting, Jhen, just for recreation. They aren't actual sailboats, but little 3- or 4-wheeled go-karts with windboarding sails. With your advanced technology, I bet you could easily make sand ships and make this a thing." Katana told them. "Please, don't encourage them," Glinda pleaded. The hunter and a few others continued to batter Jhen Mohran with cannon fire. Still, it is simply one of the most unique fights you'll ever be a part of, hunting down and trying to wrangle a giant beast. That is a concept I can get behind. I think everyone can. I mean, well, everyone except Appa. Rage said excitedly, though became uncertain at the end, before a clip of a massive flying bison with 6 legs and a beaver-like tail being wrangled by 8 men in desert garb, sad music playing as this happened. I learned what hate was the day I saw that scene. And I am reminded of that every rewatch. All 9 of them at this point. Rage admitted, taking a short pause as the fight with Jhen Mohran continued. Look, shut up. Alright. Avatar: The Last Airbender was the greatest animated show of all time. Don't at me. The host angrily defended the show as the hunter got knocked away by Jhen's tusk. The group was amazed when they saw the flying creature, but horrified when they saw it being restrained. Whoa. What is that thing? And what are they doing to it? John asked. That is Appa, a sky bison, the partner animal of air nomads, an extinct group of monks who controlled wind like Kushala Daora, possibly even better. Katana said, much to the group's amazement. But they were wiped out by the Fire Nation and the sky bison were nearly extinct as well, with Appa being the last known one at that point, so those rotten sandbender bandits stole him to sell him for big bucks. Katana explained. 4. Atrocious. No better than those who poached Jhen Mohran. Pyrrha said angrily. Yeah. Ruby and Velvet cheered. I really want to give you humans a chance, but things like this make it difficult. Adam said sourly. Rewatching a show 9 times. Man, this guy needs a hobby. Crow said. There's nothing wrong with rewatching your favorite shows multiple times. If they're that good, they deserve the attention. Emerald defended. RWBY was by her side in an instant. Yeah, she said, the two gemstone-named girls sharing a low five. I have to admit, there are shows I've watched before that I've gone back to once or twice, or 5 times. Winter admitted, muttering the last part to herself. Once more, the fight with Jhen Mohran with the boat stopped was shown. This then brings us to the subspecies, the hallowed Jhen Mohran. Rage introduced the new subspecies, a lovely purple-skinned version of the behemoth with beautiful, glowing cyan blue tusks. Everyone was left in awe at the glowing jewels along the ridge of its back, as well as its glowing blue tusks. Amazing, Ren said in awe. So pretty, Velvet said. So sparkly, Nora and RWBY said in wonder, practically drooling at the sight of the tusks. I wouldn't mind some earrings made out of those. At least you could just chip a bit of that off, no harm done, Coco added. The hunters leapt onto the beast and started both mining and attacking it. And it really is quite gorgeous, the glistening purple crystal shining under the moonlight as you fight it. It is quite the sight. And indeed moonlight specifically, as the hallowed Jhen Mohran surfaces for air only beneath the night sky. His counterpart, the day. He then spends his time much deeper down beneath the loose sand than his cousin, and as such, the pressure is noticeably more immense, strengthening his body and giving him this incredible luster, lining him with incredibly sought-after crystalline structures that are said to possess properties that grant long life to those in proximity. This is borne out by the hallowed Jhen Mohran living much longer than their lesser selves. Rage explained as the hallowed Mohran then dipped in the sand and caused the hunter of focus to be launched into the air, before crashing back on its back. Or that lets people live longer? Could such a thing truly be real? Ironwood wondered. How could a rock possibly make you live longer? Weiss questioned. At this point, almost nothing is beyond belief anymore, Penny said, simply accepting it to protect her processors. Then, the hallowed Jhen must have rammed the boat, as it was now right against it, the hunter struggling to get around its tusks. Past that, past being, just look at him. My God, so sparkly. Past that, they are a little bit more well purposeful in their onslaught. Still calm, still attacking and being attacked for very much the same reasons, but an even rarer sighting by far, they just have a bit more deliberacy to them, they are much harder to bring down and they mix it up a lot with what attacks they use where. It is a much more engaging fight. Rage informed as the Jhen swung its head and tusks, knocking an unlucky hunter off the boat, but allowing the hunter of focus to shoot it with the ballista. Even Rage agrees it's sparkly and beautiful, RWBY said, gushing over the beast along with the rest of the cinnamon trio. Man, we agreed with him so much in one video. I didn't think it was possible, Yang said. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, Neo cooed out, before looking at Yang. Oh, except you, babe, she assured the blonde girl. The hunter then abandoned the ballista to resupply as the hallowed Jhen kept attacking. The hallowed Jhen Mohran, then, likened to a crystal shimmering in the darkness. It inspires such awe and wonder that news of a sighting draws a stampede of hunters from across the land. To be the one to bag such a prize is to earn eternal legend. Rage spoke in his echoing, mystical voice, with equally mystifying music playing beside his words as the hallowed Mohran dove down, before rising up and slamming the boat again with a roar. Well, if it's worth that much more, it only makes sense it's that much more difficult, Crow said with a shrug. No one should be a legend for killing a peaceful creature like the Jhens, but I have to admit, taking one of them down is something to be remembered for, Blake admitted. I'm kind of surprised the guild lets all these hunters just drop everything and go to hunt the hallowed Jhen. Surely there's other things they should be doing. Velvet said. We've got no shortage of hunters, don't you worry. But I will admit, it is a little crazy. Teko assured her. Then, the hallowed Jhen Mohran was seen above the sand in the distance as the hunters rushed to face it. Then, we have not strictly a subspecies, but as related as one can be otherwise, the Daran Mohran. Rage introduced the next beast as another sandship was shown in the day before another massive whale-like creature leapt from the sea of sand, this one much darker and sharper around the edges, with the most eye-catching feature being the massive, drill-like horn it had in place of Jhen's tusks. The beast then swam alongside the ship, giving a much better and closer view of how spiky, ridged and intimidating it was compared to the mostly smooth and majestic Jhen Mohran. Also living in the Great Desert, its main significant difference is it's fucking spiky now. Exchanging tusks for a wicked horn, giving him a knife-like appearance and, indeed, he cuts through the terrain like a hot one through butter, absorbing rare minerals and metals that form a thick layer around him, giving him a deeper, more copper luster. This doubles up as adding armor plating, meaning all but the fiercest weaponry is rebounded with little effort. The host explained as Daran Mohran swam much closer to the ship, allowing the hunter to go in for a mighty stab with his lance, only for the polearm to simply and harmlessly bounce off the beast's durable hide. When they saw the more menacing desert behemoth, they were more than a little intimidated. That thing is scary, Velvet said, hugging Coco tightly. It certainly isn't what I'd call majestic, compared to Jhen Mohran. Winter agreed. So spiky, it looks like an edgelord's wet dream. Coco said. It looks more like a drill than a knife. And that's way scarier, in my opinion, Emerald said worriedly. The hunter then managed to get onto Daran Mohran's back and started mining. The chief difference outside of the physical is temperament, the Jhen Mohran calm and peaceful, whereas this guy, a fucking psychopath. He will go out of his way to obliterate any living thing that would dare enter his territory, and he considers his territory to be, well, everything. The Daran then will use rapid spin, causing his horn to rotate, of course, along with him, turning it into the world's most powerful drill. There has yet to be a single substance to remain undecimated by a full-on impact with this technique. It's even strong enough, in one blow, to dismantle and dismember Jhen Mohran. It will seek out dragon ships and try to do the same to it. Rage explained as the hunter finally started attacking, stabbing at the beast and leaving bombs, before jumping into the sandy depths. And hearing how aggressive it is didn't put them at ease either. Oh, lovely. I was just thinking we needed more monsters that were absolute menaces to the world around them. Weiss groaned. Why were you thinking that? That's a horrible thing to think. John cried out, to which Weiss face-bombed. Now, this creature here, I don't mind killing. With those levels of aggression and territorial nature, it would destroy any ships that come too close. It would be far too dangerous for Vacuo and its people. Their supply chain would be shattered, Ironwood said. And many were horrified to hear that its drill attack could kill its cousin monster. It can kill Jhen like that? No. They're pure evil. They must be stopped. Summer cried out. The crew managed to restrain the beast with binders, before continuing the assault with the use of artillery. It is a much more high-tempo fight, it is over quicker, but you are much more likely to die. He does not mess around. He has the same blowhole boulder attack and uses the usual ramming and the like, but well, has one hell of an edge to him in comparison. But with that, we bring this trio to a close. Rage declared as the Daran Mohran attempted to rush the ship from the front, but was painfully repelled by the Dragonator. Well, good thing there's only one kind of Daran to deal with. 2 or more would be terrifying, Ilias said. Speak for yourself. I'd welcome the challenge, Adam declared. You could count me in on that. Sounds fun. Crow said. Yeah. That'd be the best fight I've ever been a part of. Yang agreed. A fine chance to test one's mettle. Hazel added. Yeah, well, I'm more worried about the metal of the ship, along with the rest of it, because if you screw up and it destroys the ship, you're sinking down into the sand with it and it can eat you guys like potato chips. Roman told them. Thoughts? Rizara and Teko asked in unison, getting in front of their mother just as she opened her mouth to speak. Katana glared at her daughters. Little smartass. She grumbled, gently pushing them aside. But they did ask the right question. What did you think? She asked them. Jhen Mohran was so awesome. Its blowhole cannons and super strong tusks are magnificent. RWBY said happily, before growing a little sad. But it's such a shame it has to be killed because of damages it doesn't mean to do. And those hunters who kill it just for the ores and materials should be fired. RWBY said. Yeah. They're supposed to keep balance between monsters and humans, but that's tipping the scale way too far against the monsters. Blake agreed. Indeed. With the resources they have, surely they must be able to predict and defend against occurrences like these. Penny said. Sometimes, there's just no predicting nature, wild animals that are forces of nature. Ironwood told them. Do you think we could bring them to Remnant, Katana? They'd fit in perfect in Vacuo. RWBY asked. No. The adults all shouted. Sorry, Rubes, but I agree. Vacuo already has enough hardships. Jhen Mohran would probably make it unlivable. Katana told the speedster. And hallowed Jhen Mohran was absolutely breathtaking. Especially in the moonlight. Weiss said. Indeed. Being able to see it up close would almost be worth the damage it can cause. Winter agreed. A true masterpiece of nature, a work of art that should be viewed up close, in person. Glinda added, the statements of the three intellectuals gaining nods from Ren, Penny, Ozpin, Blake, Coco, Summer, and the Cinnamon Trio. Certainly one of the most beautiful monsters we've seen so far. Hira said. They were cool and all, but I thought Darren was epic. Yang said. I certainly wouldn't mind fighting it. Adam agreed. Something I could go all out on. And still I might even lose. There's no greater thrill. Hazel added. Yeah. It'd be so awesome to take that thing down. It'd be like hunting the shark from Maz, only like 100 times more epic and challenging. Nora said. So, what comes next? Ren asked. Oh, right. Next time. Well, I hope you brought your appetites, because these guys sure did. Katana declared, playing the next video.